Welcome to Tales from the Trenches Tuesdays. Today I am absolutely honored to have Betty Ann Howard with me. Betty Ann is a philanthropic financial planner. She's an award-winning speaker, an author, a financial literacy advocate, and a charitable giving expert. It seems like a huge portfolio. And for over 20 years, Betty Ann has been guiding women, couples, and families to realize their financial dreams and has shared her vision with audiences all around the world. She has a specialization in strategic philanthropic planning and charitable giving. She's been able to direct millions of dollars to the charitable sector while dramatically reducing taxes for those individuals she has assisted. So welcome, Betty Ann.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. I love being involved in anything that you do, including it was so good to have you as a guest as well in terms of after you wrote your book. So I love how you think.
Thank you.
Wonder.
Yeah, we've had some great discussions over the last, 2 or 3 years, specifically around fundraising and the roles of the professional advisors or the allied professionals, as so many of us like to call them. And I kind of think of you as kind of a unicorn. You're exceptionally unique. And the reason why is because you actually push charitable giving or even broach the subject with your clients where so many of your colleagues, I'm not going to specifically name anyone, don't do that. And, my gut instinct was part of the reason why was that there's no benefit to the financial advisor, whether they get paid for assets under management. It's not helping them. They just are going to kind of do whatever they can do and move on to the next client because there's only so many hours in a day. Am I off base on that, or what makes you do what you do?
Well, there are two parts to that question. Why? I mean, you hit the nail on the head, absolutely, Jack. And there are many reasons why philanthropic planning amongst financial advisors is not being embraced and not being pursued. And yes, a big part of it is that it's very time consuming. I, of course, love to spend that time with my clients and other donors to have the conversations. I wish there was more time in the day to have more of those conversations. And so there are reasons, and there are very few of us who are actually doing that as financial advisors. And fortunately, that's changing. I mean, there's the designation that the Knowledge Bureau has, and CAGP is trying to do more engagement with our professional association advocates. And sadly, I really do hear way too many examples of financial advisors who are protecting the assets. And I think that's appalling because the possibilities, and I don't just mean the possibilities around having a greater impact on the world, but it's part of the trust and the relationship whereby we can foster that relationship even more if we delve into that. And I have some examples where, I don't know if you want me to share any examples, but...
Sure.
Because there was one example of a colleague of mine who shall remain nameless, and we check in with each other every now and again, and he was saying, "Oh, Betty Ann, you'll be really happy to hear," because he knows I'm quite passionate about philanthropy. And he said, "Oh, I have this client who donated $100,000. I won't say where." And I said, "Well, where did the money come from?" Well, it was in his bank account. I said, how big is his non-registered portfolio? "Oh, it's $1 million. And you didn't get him to donate appreciated securities?" He goes, "I don't want to lose that money, that 100. I said, "For crying out loud, you can take the money from the bank account and reinvest it. You got to be kidding me." But I think it has to be foremost in your mind, because I find that as a financial advisor, nobody's perfect. I'm human too. And there are so many opportunities, and we don't always see them all the time. So I keep revisiting it with our clients so that we can, and it sometimes takes time too for people, because people have a certain mindset that, oh, I'm going to leave all my money to my family and my kids can figure it out. And we say, then it's too late. Like, do you realize? And then we go through some examples. So it's difficult. We have to I accept that it takes some time. You have to plant the seeds. Some people embrace it right away, and other people, we have to keep coming back to it. And then eventually, for the majority of people, they do make decisions that are going to benefit charities.
Yeah, yeah. And, good on you for doing that. It's such an interesting thing. Years ago, oh my gosh, it has to be probably close to 30 years ago, I was raising funds for the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony. And we were running a capital campaign, and we had solicited this widow, and she was going to give us $100,000. And we spoke to her about the appreciated securities, specifically about that. So she came in, a week or 10 days later into my office, and she handed me a cashier's check for the sum of money. And I'm like, what did you do? And she says, well, I didn't want you to have to deal with the paperwork, so I just cashed the securities, but here they are. And I'm like, oh my gosh. You triggered all the gains and you just lost out on the whole benefit of giving appreciated securities. So I'm finding a lot of times people just don't understand it, or furthermore, they'll take the one that is worth on paper the most and cash that one, as opposed to the one that has the largest appreciation. And that's the one that obviously should be going to charities, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. So many of these banks and other places that have assets under management are now creating philanthropic arms so that they can kind of still maintain control of the assets. As a matter of fact, I remember Fidelity Trust in the States is like the second or third largest grant maker in the States. Mm-hmm. And I kind of equate that to saying like Visa is the biggest philanthropic person in Canada because most people pay stuff by Visa. Like Visa has nothing to do with it. It's just a vehicle, but it's a hard pill for someone to swallow to say, take $1 million that I have been investing and go put it with an organization so they can invest it. Mm-hmm. And are you finding that there's reticence with the donors and the clients on that, or not so much?
Jack, it really depends. And it depends on, for me, whatever the clients are willing to do, then that's what I want to see happen because they're wanting to do it. So we actually do we call them DAFs, right? Donor Advised Funds. You could have a few takeoffs from that if you wanted to. In terms of the play on words. And at the same time, I think, again, storytelling, a couple where they're in their early 70s, their two daughters are adults, quite successful. And when I talk to them, and they have about $500,000 inside their RSPs, and I said, if something happened to both of you, then that's going to be about $250,000 going to the government. And she especially has been quite philanthropic throughout her lifetime. And so I said, here are your options. You could think about naming a charity or a couple of charities, the contingent beneficiary of those RSPs. Obviously, I want the money to go to each surviving spouse first. And then I did describe the DAF. I said, or you could set up this family foundation, and here's how it works. And if you want to pass on your values to your grandkids and to their kids beyond that, and if that's something that twigs for them and they go, I really like that idea, can you tell me more about it? I always remind people you could leave this money directly to a charity, or you could set this up so that your family can make decisions every year, which is keeping your legacy going. And they wanted to share what their beliefs are, what their values are. They're going to leave it up to the kids and then the grandkids to decide. They are both alive right now, thankfully. And they said, when in doubt, then here are the charities that we would like you to support if their families lose interest. So,
did they involve their family in these earlier on discussions, or is it kind of like a surprise one day for them?
No. We really like to have the family members involved. And so and it's interesting because in another situation when we shared this with our clients, they wanted us to talk to their kids about it, their adult kids. And the adult kids said, you know what? We're so busy. We don't want you to set something up where we're going to have to make decisions every year. We just want you to leave it directly with the charity. So we really like to get family members. We don't like surprises.
Betty Ann, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. I love talking with you because I think we kind of sing from the same hymnal.
I think so. Yeah, and there's so much more we could talk about. So
there is. Hi folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here.